Chosen one, this message is not random, and it is not late. You are hearing it because a spiritual cycle is closing and truth is becoming unavoidable. The season where certain people had access to your energy, your insight, and your calling is expiring. God is not negotiating this transition. He is finalizing it. What once drained you can no longer follow you. What once delayed you no longer has permission to interfere. This is not punishment, it is alignment. A final download is being released: clarity, separation, and authority. The only question left is not what is happening, but are you prepared to receive it? Chosen one, understand this truth clearly and without emotion clouding it. Spiritual expiration is not sudden, and it is never accidental. It is the result of repeated opportunities ignored, lessons resisted, and grace mishandled. J-persons were given access not because they were entitled, but because God allowed proximity for a season. That season was meant to refine them, stretch them, and awaken them. Instead of growing, they became comfortable. Instead of honoring the assignment, they consumed it. Instead of evolving, they repeated the same patterns while expecting divine privilege to remain intact. God is patient, but patience is not permission, and mercy does not cancel responsibility. Spiritual access has conditions. When someone repeatedly stands near purpose, yet refuses transformation, expiration becomes inevitable. J-persons were close enough to see truth, feel conviction, and sense movement, yet they chose familiarity over obedience. They heard warnings disguised as discomfort. They felt tension meant to correct direction. They noticed doors narrowing and influence shrinking. None of this happens silently. God always speaks before he separates. What ended their access was not a single mistake, but a pattern of resistance. Grace kept knocking, but pride kept the door locked. This expiration is not emotional, dramatic, or loud. It is administrative. Heaven operates with order, timing, and boundaries. When God decides someone has reached the end of their spiritual allowance, the shift happens quietly. Influence fades. Authority dissolves. Their words stop landing. Their presence stops affecting outcomes. They still speak, but nothing moves. They still try, but nothing opens. This is not coincidence. It is the unmistakable sign of expired alignment. Chosen one, you were never meant to carry someone who refused to carry themselves. Proximity to you was an invitation, not a guarantee. The spiritual covering they benefited from required humility, accountability, and growth. When those were rejected, the covering lifted naturally. This is why you may notice that J-persons now operate from frustration instead of clarity, urgency instead of wisdom, and control instead of faith. They are trying to force relevance in a season where relevance has already expired. God does not revoke access to punish. He revokes access to protect purpose. What you are stepping into cannot be contaminated by unresolved pride, entitlement, or spiritual stagnation. Delayed obedience is still disobedience, and God will not allow delayed obedience to interfere with divine timing. This expiration ensures that your next season is not negotiated, diluted, or drained by someone who had the chance to rise but chose to remain unchanged. Understand this deeply. Spiritual expiration does not mean someone is evil. It means they are unwilling. Unwilling to shed old identities. Unwilling to release control. Unwilling to submit to refinement. God never forces transformation. He offers it. When the offer is repeatedly declined, separation follows. Not because God abandons people, but because He honors free will. J persons chose comfort over calling, and calling does not wait. This is why the separation feels final. There is no longer emotional pull, spiritual confusion, or internal debate. The connection ends without explanation, because explanation is no longer required. When God closes a chapter administratively, there is nothing left to discuss. The silence is intentional, the distance is protective, the ending is complete. Chosen one, this expiration is also confirmation of your obedience. You outgrew environments that refused to grow with you. You stayed longer than required out of loyalty, compassion, and hope. God allowed that season to test your boundaries, strengthen your discernment, and teach you restraint. Now that the lesson is complete, the connection expires automatically. No confrontation needed. No justification required. Do not attempt to revive what God has finalized. Expired access cannot be renewed through nostalgia, guilt, or familiarity. What is removed for alignment. What is closed for protection. The more you honor this separation, the faster clarity stabilizes. Peace returns not because circumstances change, but because resistance ends. This expiration is evidence that your next assignment is protected time, sensitive, and uncompromising. God is clearing space, not creating loss. What leaves now cannot follow where you are going. And that is not tragedy. That is precision. Chosen one, your silence was never an accident, and it was never weakness. It was a strategy designed by God to prepare you for a level of clarity that words could not produce. While others spoke impulsively, defended themselves, or tried to control narratives, you were being trained to listen deeper, observe patterns, and discern motives. Silence sharpened your perception. It taught you how to read energy instead of excuses, actions instead of apologies, and consistency instead of promises. What looked like withdrawal was actually refinement. During this season, God restricted your reactions on purpose. Every time you felt the urge to explain yourself, defend your heart, or correct misunderstandings, restraint was forming discipline. You learned that not every misinterpretation requires a response, and not every accusation deserves clarification. This is a critical upgrade. People who cannot access your emotions can no longer manipulate your direction. Silence broke emotional dependency and replaced it with spiritual authority. While you remained quiet, something else was happening beneath the surface. Your discernment was being recalibrated. You began to sense shifts before they manifested. You noticed when conversations felt draining instead of nourishing. You recognized when someone's presence created confusion rather than peace. These realizations did not come through logic or debate. They came through stillness. Silence created space for God's voice to become unmistakable. When noise fades, truth rises. Chosen one. This is why you no longer feel the need to convince anyone of who you are or what you carry. Validation is no longer currency in your spirit. You understand now that the people who truly see you never needed explanations, and the people who demanded them were never meant to understand. Silence stripped away the desire to be understood by those incapable of seeing beyond their limitations. That release is freedom. This preparation also trained you to trust what you perceive without seeking confirmation. Before, you may have doubted your intuition or dismissed red flags to preserve harmony. Now, harmony is defined by alignment, not agreement. You recognize that peace does not require everyone's approval. This is a crucial shift, because the next level of your assignment requires decisiveness without hesitation. God does not need you to poll opinions. He needs you to move when instructed. Your silence also revealed who depended on access to your reactions. Some people only felt powerful when they could provoke you, confuse you, or draw you into emotional loops. When you stopped responding, their influence collapsed. This exposed intentions without confrontation. You didn't need to accuse or confront. Their discomfort revealed everything. Silence became the mirror they could not escape. Understand this clearly: silence is not absence. It is presence under control. It is knowing when to speak and choosing not to. It is strength that does not advertise itself. God was teaching you restraint, because authority without restraint becomes chaos. Leaders who react emotionally cannot steward responsibility. You were being shaped to lead without volatility, to respond without ego, and to stand firm without aggression. As your discernment matured, you stopped mistaking familiarity for loyalty. You realized that some people were comfortable with your past version, but threatened by your growth. Silence helped you see who celebrated your expansion and who subtly resisted it. You learned to recognize support that feels calm instead of loud, genuine instead of performative. This wisdom is part of the download already active within you. Chosen one. The reason this clarity feels sudden is because it was cultivated quietly. Nothing rushed this process. Every moment of restraint built stability. Every unanswered message strengthened boundaries. Every moment you chose peace over proving a point expanded your authority. You are now positioned to move without emotional residue. Decisions no longer feel heavy because attachment has loosened its grip. This level of discernment means you will no longer argue with misalignment. You will simply move. You will no longer chase closure from people who lack capacity. You will allow distance to speak where words once failed. This is not coldness, it is maturity. God has trained you to recognize when a season has ended without needing a dramatic conclusion. Silence prepared you to hear God clearly and follow Him confidently. The download continues as long as you remain grounded, observant, and obedient. You are no longer reacting to life, you are responding to instruction. And that is the mark of someone who is ready for what comes next. Chosen one. The emotional detachment you are experiencing is not loss, emptiness, or numbness in the way the world defines it. It is the release of emotional hooks that once kept you tethered to people, situations, and outcomes that were never meant to have permanent authority over you. This detachment is a sign that God is transitioning you from emotional leadership to spiritual dominion. When emotions no longer control your decisions, clarity steps forward without resistance. There was a time when certain words, tones, or behaviors could disrupt your peace instantly. You felt compelled to respond, explain, fix, or absorb energy that was never yours to carry. That reaction was not weakness. It was sensitivity without boundaries. But sensitivity without boundaries drains purpose. God has now adjusted your emotional responses so that external chaos no longer dictates your internal state. This is not indifference. It is mastery. Emotional detachment is the moment when triggers lose their power. You notice that things which once provoked anxiety, anger, or confusion now pass through you without attachment. You observe rather than absorb. You understand rather than react. This shift allows you to remain present without being pulled into unnecessary battles. The absence of reaction is not disengagement from life. It is engagement from a higher vantage point. Chosen one. This detachment also signals that you are no longer negotiating your worth through emotional exchanges. You do not need emotional intensity to feel significant. You no longer confuse emotional investment with loyalty. You recognize now that not every connection deserves emotional access. Emotional energy is sacred, and you have learned to protect it without guilt. This protection is what gives you the authority to remain calm in situations that once demanded emotional labor. When God removes emotional charge, He replaces it with discernment. You begin to see situations exactly as they are, without embellishment or denial. You recognize manipulation without needing to label it. You see patterns without obsessing over them. This clarity removes the need to confront, because confrontation is often driven by emotional activation. When activation fades, truth stands on its own. This detachment can feel unfamiliar because it contrasts with the version of you who once felt deeply responsible for everyone's emotions. You may notice a quiet space where urgency once lived. This space is not emptiness, it is capacity. God creates emotional stillness so responsibility can be held without overwhelm. You are being prepared to make decisions that affect more than just your personal comfort. Emotional neutrality allows you to move without being swayed by guilt, fear, or nostalgia. Chosen one. Authority always requires emotional regulation. Leaders who react emotionally surrender their power to circumstance. You are being trained to remain steady, regardless of external fluctuation. This does not mean you lack compassion. It means compassion is no longer confused with self-sacrifice. You can care without carrying. You can listen without absorbing. You can love without losing yourself. This balance is the hallmark of spiritual maturity. As emotional detachment deepens, you may notice that people respond differently to you. Some will feel unsettled because they can no longer read you easily. Others may attempt to provoke reactions to regain influence. Their efforts will fail because access has already been restricted. Emotional distance exposes dependency. When you stop reacting, those who relied on your responses feel the absence immediately. This stage also marks the end of emotional bargaining. You no longer negotiate peace by compromising truth. You no longer tolerate discomfort to preserve connection. Detachment empowers you to let situations end without forcing closure. Closure happens internally when emotional investment dissolves. External acknowledgement is no longer required. Chosen one, the calm you carry now is not temporary. It is cultivated. It comes from understanding that your value does not fluctuate based on how others treat you. This understanding frees you from emotional reactivity. You are no longer pulled into cycles of explanation, defense, or justification. You simply move in alignment. This emotional detachment is the gateway to dominion. When reactions disappear, intention becomes precise. Your words become measured. Your presence becomes grounding. People feel stability when you enter a space because you are no longer leaking energy. You conserve it. You direct it. You steward it. God removes emotional turbulence so you can hear instruction without interference. This detachment allows divine direction to land cleanly. You are no longer distracted by emotional noise. You are attentive, aware, and prepared. This is not the loss of feeling. It is the alignment of feeling with purpose. And that alignment is what qualifies you for the next assignment. Chosen one. Separation is often misunderstood because it is framed as loss, rejection, or abandonment. In truth, separation is one of the clearest indicators of promotion. When God elevates someone, He must also adjust their environment. Old access cannot coexist with new responsibility. This is why separation often arrives quietly, without conflict or explanation. It is not meant to be debated. It is meant to be honored. As you step into higher alignment, you will notice that certain connections naturally fall away. Conversations feel forced. Shared interests dissolve. The effort required to maintain familiarity becomes exhausting. This is not because you changed into someone unrecognizable, but because growth altered your frequency. Where you are now requires focus, discernment, and restraint. Not everyone is equipped to move at this pace. And God will not burden your next season with unnecessary friction. God removes familiar voices so His instruction becomes unmistakable. Familiarity can blur obedience. When too many opinions surround you, clarity fragments. Separation creates space for divine direction to land without interference. This is why God often distances you from people you once trusted deeply. It is not betrayal, it is recalibration. The less noise you hear, the clearer His voice becomes. Chosen one. Separation also reveals who depended on access rather than alignment. Some people were comfortable being near your light as long as it benefited them. When boundaries appeared, discomfort followed. Their resistance is not your responsibility. You were not placed here to manage reactions. You were placed here to follow instruction. Separation exposes motives without confrontation. This process can feel isolating at first because human connection is familiar and comforting. However, solitude during promotion is intentional. God uses quiet to refine focus. In stillness, you gain understanding that cannot be accessed in crowds. You learn to trust internal guidance rather than external affirmation. This strengthens confidence rooted in purpose rather than approval. Separation is also protection. What God is building through you is delicate in its early stages. New assignments require safeguarding. Exposure too soon can invite interference. doubt, or sabotage. By limiting access, God shields your development. Not everyone deserves insight into what is forming within you. Some would mishandle it, misunderstand it, or attempt to influence it prematurely. Chosen one, you may notice that endings now occur without drama. No arguments, no long explanations, just distance. This is maturity at work. When something has run its course, it no longer needs emotional resolution. The absence of conflict does not mean nothing happened. It means the lesson is complete. God closes doors cleanly when the season has been honored fully. Separation also marks the end of spiritual babysitting. You are no longer responsible for pulling others forward or explaining truth repeatedly. Everyone has their own timeline. Promotion releases you from carrying those who resist growth. This freedom is not selfish, it is necessary. You cannot lead effectively while dragging those who refuse to walk. As separation deepens, you may feel a stronger sense of internal peace, despite fewer connections. This peace is confirmation. God does not remove what is essential. He removes what is excessive. What remains is aligned, supportive, and nourishing. Even if the circle is smaller, the foundation is stronger. Chosen one, trust the process, even when it feels unfamiliar. Promotion often looks like reduction before expansion. God simplifies before he multiplies. He narrows focus before increasing influence. What feels like isolation is actually concentration. Your energy is being gathered, refined, and directed with precision. Separation also teaches you discernment over attachment. You learn to release without resentment. You understand that some people were meant to walk with you, not stay with you. Honoring their role does not require preserving access. Gratitude and distance can coexist. God does not promote through chaos. He promotes through order. Separation creates that order. It aligns your inner world with your outer assignment. The fewer distractions you carry, the clearer your steps become. You are not being left behind, you are being positioned. Chosen one, do not reopen doors God has closed. Familiarity is not confirmation. If something ends without resistance, it is because heaven already decided. Trust that decision. Your next level depends on your willingness to walk forward without dragging the past behind you. Chosen one, preparation is not about fear, urgency, or anticipation driven by anxiety. Preparation is alignment expressed through obedience. It is the quiet, consistent decision to stay positioned where God can reach you without obstruction. When the final download approaches, it does not require striving, it requires readiness. Readiness is created through discipline, clarity, and the willingness to release what no longer belongs in your future. You are not being asked to prepare by doing more, proving more, or explaining more. You are being asked to prepare by staying clean in intention. Intention shapes reception. When motives are clear, direction flows without resistance. God does not pour into cluttered vessels. He pours into those who have made space deliberately. This is why preparation often feels like subtraction rather than addition. You are letting go of habits, conversations, and internal narratives that dilute focus. Preparation also demands that you stop revisiting expired connections, rehearsing old conversations, replaying unresolved moments, or emotionally checking on people God has already removed interrupts alignment. Closure is not found in revisiting the past. It is found in accepting that some chapters end without explanation. Each time you mentally return to expired seasons, you delay full integration into the present one. Readiness requires forward-facing attention. Chosen one, obedience in this season looks like restraint. You may feel prompted to remain still when instinct says react. You may feel guided to wait when pressure says move. This tension is intentional. God is refining your sensitivity to instruction. Acting prematurely can distort timing. Waiting is not passivity. It is precision. Preparation sharpens your ability to move exactly when instructed, not when pressured. Staying grounded is another essential part of readiness. Grounding is not about detachment from reality. It is about stability within it. Maintain routines that support clarity, rest, reflection, and consistency. Avoid emotional extremes. Do not allow excitement or frustration to override discernment. The final download integrates smoothly into a stable system. Chaos disrupts reception. Preparation also includes guarding your environment. What you listen to, engage with, and entertain matters now more than ever. Your spirit is sensitive because it is tuned. Overexposure to noise, negativity, or distraction interferes with clarity. This does not require isolation from life. It requires intentional filtering. You decide what has access to your attention. Chosen one, trust is an active form of preparation. Trust is choosing alignment even when outcomes are not visible. It is honoring instruction without needing immediate confirmation. God does not reveal the full picture to test your patience. He withholds it to strengthen your faith. Preparation matures faith into confidence. You no longer need reassurance because alignment feels right even without evidence. As readiness deepens, you may notice a sense of calm expectancy rather than urgency. This calm is not complacency. It is confidence. You know something is coming, but you are not anxious about it. You are stable. This emotional steadiness is crucial. What is released next requires a clear mind and a settled spirit. Preparation also means accepting that once the download completes, there is no return to previous versions of yourself. Growth is irreversible. You cannot unknow what you will know. You cannot return to environments that no longer fit. This is why preparation asks for courage. Forward movement requires releasing the comfort of familiarity. Chosen one, do not fear the finality of this transition. Finality does not mean loss, it means completion. What is complete no longer needs energy. Completion frees attention. It creates momentum. The final download is not an ending, it is an activation. Remain obedient even when nothing seems to be happening. Much is happening beneath the surface. Alignment is working quietly. Trust the process without rushing it. Preparation is not about being perfect. It is about being available. When availability meets timing, the download lands effortlessly. Stay ready by staying aligned. Stay aligned by staying honest with yourself. What God is releasing next will meet you exactly where you are positioned. And if you remain prepared, you will recognize it not as disruption, but as confirmation.